Tell me a little bit about your life journey
So
too.
I was basically born in Jaipur. My family is from here. But my dad was working. I mean, the Rajputs, without trying to blow our own trumpet, I think if people really without any prejudice or stereotypes, if they read about the Rajputs, it's fascinated people before and it will continue fascinating people if you look at it non-prejudiced way.
Even James Todd, when he did that, I have heard and I have read about it. Those two books are the catalyst for Calcutta Renaissance or Bengal Renaissance.
Yeah.
And that was the reason that they had to leave Calcutta and shift their capital to Delhi.
For James Todd, what he did for the Rajputs is immense. James Todd's documentation of Jaipur is, I would tell people not to read it.
Why so?
एक समय था जब भारत के नगर अपने अनोखे आर्किटेक्चर के लिए जाने जाते थे। उस काल में भारत के शहर सिर्फ पत्थर और इमारतें नहीं होती थीं, उनका अपना एक अस्तित्व होता था और अपनी एक आत्मा भी। वो सभ्यता की पहचान होते थे जो हर घर, हर किले, हर चौक की दीवारों पर लिखी जाती थी। आज जब वो वास्तुकला कहीं गुम सी होती जा रही है, तब राजस्थान के जयपुर से एक आवाज़ उठी है जो उस सुंदर विरासत को फिर से जीवित करने का प्रयास कर रही है। भरत सिंह जादव, एक ऐसा व्यक्ति जिन्होंने अपने कैमरा को और अपने ज्ञान को अपना शस्त्र बना लिया है उस लापरवाही के विरुद्ध जिसमें हम अपनी महान और सुंदर विरासत को खोते जा रहे हैं और दिन प्रतिदिन अपने शहरों को बदसूरत बनते देख रहे हैं। भरत सिंह जयपुर हाउसेस के फाउंडर और उसके साथ 3 अन्य उतने ही प्रभावशाली पेजेस के सृजन करता है जो राजस्थान की मिटती हुई धरोहर को तस्वीरों में अमर कर रहे हैं। आज उनके इंस्टाग्राम पर लोग सिर्फ फोटोज़ नहीं देखते बल्कि इतिहास को देखने का एक नया नज़रिया सीखते हैं। पुराने किलों, हवेलियों और स्टेपवेल्स के ज़रिए वो अपनी विरासत और हमारे महान पुरखों को फिर से पहचानते हैं। इस मंथन पॉडकास्ट में हम भरत सिंह के साथ उनकी यात्रा, उनकी दृष्टि और उनके इतिहास के ज्ञान को टटोलने के साथ साथ उनके संकल्प को भी समझेंगे। मुझे आशा है कि इस एपिसोड से लोग ये भी समझेंगे कि भरत सिंह जैसे लोग हमें याद दिलाते हैं कि जो अपने इतिहास को जीते हैं वो ही अपना भविष्य लिखते हैं।
ब्रूटलिज्म करके एक आर्किटेक्चर में होता है जो वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद आया, विच इज समथिंग दैट वी हैव रेप्लिकेटेड ऑल अराउंड इंडिया. सो नाउ ऑल आवर सिटीज look similar and I would not hesitate to say all our cities look ugly.
I found this very interesting when I heard the term because I found the term very interesting कि क्या होगा and all, and I used to think what brutal buildings होंगे, which is not true.
Raw concrete.
It's raw concrete like basically.
So stepwell की साइंस के बारे में आपने क्या क्या पढ़ा है, क्या पता करा है?
So stepwell basically एक अब generic term हो गया.
The biggest flaws of Rajputs were that they didn't respect their women.
Yeah, so and people keep thinking that these women were forced. It was their own choice. Jaipur का actually नाम है सवाई जयपुर. Jaipur was really built on the Savai principle. Savai Jai Singh got this title from the Mughal emperor. Please notice that Jai Singh Ji is the only king whose statue is made who's not on a horse with a talwar or a dhal, or he's shown with a manuscript because he was a thinker, he was a renaissance man, he was a scientist in the body of a soldier, astronomy, mathematics, and सारा ज्ञान उनने शहर बनाने में लगाया.
Thank you, Bharat ji, for coming to today's conversation. And the thing that intrigued me about your conversation with Vinam, because I got to know about you through that conversation.
Through the podcast, right.
Right. And the thing that intrigued me most was, apart from your work, your knowledge in history. वो मेरे लिए एक ऐसा factor था that I could relate with somebody entirely from the beginning of the episode to the end of it. Right. I was like, okay, this is the way that the history should be put forward. This is the way it should be done. And you were doing it right there on the camera. So that was my point to contact you. And thank you for coming again. So first thing I want to ask you, and rather I want you to do is, give a brief about your work. So मैं आपसे ये इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ जिससे कि हमारी जो audience है, at least once they get to know about you,
connect बढ़ेगा.
They can connect with you, and then we can take the conversation ahead in whichever direction it goes, because I don't want it to be structured
in
today.
that way. No, it makes sense.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. And I feel before we start with my brief sort of introduction of my work, I think a lot of people sort of can associate or relate to me because I'm not a serious, or I'm not a trained historian or an architect or a designer or a photographer. So a large part of my work includes these things, but because I think I'm self-taught in a certain way, and I still have a long way to go. I mean, the more you learn, the less you know. We've all heard of.
Those are the best type. I think I'm copying Vinamr here because he said this. So, but I also believe that from a very long time that these type of historians are the best kind of historians, and we are seeing that right now.
Right.
जो भी हमारे इस टाइम इंडिक स्पेस में जो भी हमारे टॉप हिस्टोरियंस आ रहे हैं, they are not from history background. They are not from that classical training of history. Right. Be it Vikram Sambat, be it JSD, be it Anand Rangnathan.
Any of them are not, that's true.
None of them are traditional historians in that sense.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, and I feel, that's the reason why people could relate, because if you really throw a lot of fancy language and dates and things around, it sometimes dulls the other person. You have to
lots of jargon.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make it exciting. It has to be told in a story, and that's the problem with our culture in a way, is still we haven't learned how to promote it in the best way as much as the West has. So we're still getting there, I think. Right. And because the wealth of culture, whether it's built heritage or intangible sort of heritage like recipes and crafts and stories, is immense. Like I keep telling people in India, हमारे कान से बाहर आ रहा है. We have so much. Right. And because we have so much, we've become complacent because we think हाँ है तो वो चलता है attitude. Agreed.
We have stopped valuing it.
We stopped valuing it, which is human nature. So luckily, I think social media के through and through these different platforms, a lot of people like me are being able to sort of talk about the work that they're doing. And now coming to the work, and before that, in fact, we were just joking about not having degrees. So the funny quote about that is that don't let education come in the way of knowledge.
Right.
That's my go-to quote if someone says you're not qualified enough. But as far as my work is concerned, I started documenting the old houses and heritage structures in Jaipur initially, with the idea that a lot of our cities and towns are changing. The old structures are being demolished and new buildings and malls and shopping complexes.
With your own houses.
So yeah, I have an old. My mom has an old house also, which for the longest time since we were kids, we've known that it's someday going to be demolished. So there were a couple of reasons why I started to go around and document and identify and map these places and try and research about it and write. And then one thing led to another where I started documenting not only houses but all heritage structures, whether it's
When
stepwell.
was this year?
This was 2022, 2021, just after the first wave of COVID.
Okay.
And luckily, I think people responded to it very well. And मुझे शौक था ही, मैं खूब पढ़ता था. मैं बोलते रहता हूँ that I'm not any designer, photographer, historian, but I'm a nerd. And I love reading, especially about the history and heritage of Rajasthan and my community, which is the Rajputs. And it's just been a very sort of a satisfying journey, because when you sort of read the regular narratives that are told to us, it's very one-dimensional, single-layered, very bland. But the minute you start reading about it and understanding and listening to people, you see how layers start sort of unfolding. So I feel I'm very lucky to be able to do something that I enjoy. My page on Instagram is called Jaipur Houses. And I'm doing another one where I'm trying to sort of map and document the water systems.
Stepwells country.
It's called Stepwell country, where stepwells, tanks, kund, kuwe, jhalade, bawdis, everything water systems, jo purane ducts hote the, purane kuwe, all of that I'm trying to just identify, because I found it very hard when I was trying to do research. There was no place that you could go to where you had a list of all these structures, listed. So this is my lifelong thing. I think whether I come in fancy podcasts or I make money or it doesn't matter. I will keep doing my documentation and posting about it and writing about it. So yeah, that's a little bit of my work.
That kind of passion is what is required right now.
I feel I'm lucky enough that, I come from a sort of background that I can afford to do it also. I've met a lot of hardworking people, and I just am stubborn enough and that even if I'm not earning money, and I'm actually, as I say, it's very fashionable to be in this, but it's a fashionably poor sector to be in, because there's not a lot of money in history and heritage if you see it in that way. So a lot of people like me are having to work jobs, regular 9 to 5s, and they do this, as they say, they moonlight. They do it as in their sort of spare time. But I am okay staying with no money for a little while, because thankfully I have a home that I can stay in and I get food on the table. So for me, that's more than enough. And slowly now, I think as your credibility increases, more and more people sort of want you to give a talk or to do a walk. And these are little ways that I'm sort of supporting myself.
I think that is the usual way that people used to earn their living. Right before 100 years or 200 years.
Absolutely.
After, when the 9 to 5 came, only then we started to fall into that pattern.
Right.
And that we have to work for a month and then draw a salary at the end of a week or at the end of the month.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that has made life so monotonous and so boring for many people that they detest it. They want to run away from it. Like what you are doing on your daily basis
is what they want to
do on their weekends or long weekends.
Right. But you have to keep it exciting enough, because a lot of people say that the minute you make even your hobby or your passion your work, then you stop enjoying it as much. Thankfully, that's not happened to me.
Not me as well.
But that's what some people have told me. So you have to sort of keep yourself inquisitive and curious about different things. So now I'm also trying to work on registering in Art Deco. A lot of people are not familiar with Art Deco, but it's this sort of raging design movement. It's very hard to explain what it is, but it basically is a design movement that's completed 100 years in 2025. And India has a wealth of Art Deco buildings. This was between 1925 to 1950-55. And in fact, the first Art Deco building was this palace in Jodhpur called the Umaid Bhavan Palace. So Rajasthan...
You'll have to define it a little bit for me. What is Art Deco building?
So Art Deco was basically just after World War I. Obviously, after a war, the sentiments and the morale of people are very low. And so this design movement started, which sort of embodied modern thinking. Right? At the same time, they also had discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun. So there were lots of goodies that were coming out from the Egyptian civilization. And so this movement was merging a lot of civilizational sort of design with modern sensibilities. So at that time, if you think about trains were becoming very popular, for normal people, not only for goods and products. And steamliners, which ships were becoming very popular. That's how people would travel from one country to another back in the day. And so because of that, their sort of designs were included in houses. If I can, I'd love to show a few pictures on your podcast I'll share with you, where people will get good ideas of, but the sort of largest Art Deco enclave is in Miami in the world. After that is in Mumbai, in Bombay. So India is very much connected to Art Deco, but a lot of people think of it as modern.
Where in Bombay?
Marine Drive, the entire Marine Drive, the Queen's Necklace is full of Art Deco buildings, Pizza by the Bay, all those sort of Empress Court are all very, very famous Art Deco buildings. And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Victoria Terminus and
No, Victoria Terminus
right?
is no. That's completely, I think that's more classical Gothic architecture. Beautiful, I mean, that's one of the most spectacular buildings that we have. But so Art Deco is another sort of upcoming movement that's coming back into fashion, and I just want to do my little bit by registering a society of Rajasthan so that we can recognize these buildings. I am not a person that is very good with doing protests or activism and stuff, but I enjoy being a catalyst. That means you sort of start talking about something, you light that fire, and then encourage more and more people, experts, better people, to take it forward.
So how was that drive on 2nd October that you did recently?
It was
cleaning drive.
It was good. We had a very short time frame to sort of organize it, but again the idea was
Briefly
to just start the
location
conversation. So the location is actually a lot of us know Jal Mahal,
right.
And whenever someone wants to visit Jal Mahal, which is the water palace in Jaipur, you go to this one promenade or boulevard as they call it, which is been restored by the government every 5, 6, 10 years. Again and again they keep pumping money into the same place. But just on the other side, which is towards the bypass, is this beautiful old gate, a small fortress, a fortified bandha or a dam as we call it, and bastions, burj jo hum log kehte, which is just dotting the entire landscape. And if you go there, the amount of garbage is unbearable. I mean, I'll share pictures with you if you want to show.
No, I've seen them.
You've seen. And strangely enough, when Jai Singh Ji was building Jaipur, he performed these very sacred Vedic yagyas. Out of that one was called the Ashwamedh Yagya. I mean, anyone can Google it. It's considered to be one of the most important Vedic rituals.
He's actually often criticized for that too, but that is another thing.
We'll talk about that. So it was supposed to be a horse sacrifice, and all Chakravartis, very big emperors, basically would do this. And it was Jai Singh's way of sort of asserting himself at the time as a Vedic ruler. Mughals, the empire was declining. But coming to my point is that after the yagya was done, he came to this point, this bandha, which is full of garbage right now, to do his snan after the ritual.
Okay.
So it's that sacred a site. It has
that site
he went down the
right
steps
now.
on the embankments to Pala and went down to wash himself, the ritual bathing after the yagya. But sadly, we have so much that we've neglected a lot of these sites and focused our tourism only on sites like Hawa Mahal and Amber Fort and City Palace,
I think
which are beautiful.
Entire area near the stairs was covered with garbage.
Entire area, the Mahal inside was almost in a layer of trash. And more than trash, it was very surprising to find, there were just broken bottles of glass. I mean, there was just beer bottles everywhere, smashed.
That is the most pathetic habit that I have found in our people, that they end up smashing the bottles where they drink, and this is just so embarrassing. Even in Western Ghats, I've lived in Mumbai,
right?
So I used to go interior points where there was like some secret waterfall or things like that, right? Because that is how it is in monsoon. It is very beautiful, just like Jaipur is, just like Mewad is.
Right.
That similar vibe is there in
So
Western
here it's a
Ghats.
little different. I'll tell you why. Sorry, you.
No, I was just telling you. So I keep finding that smashed bottle pieces in all those locations, and it used to piss the hell out of me.
It's aggravating, that, because I understand. I mean, if you want to have a beer in a beautiful place, no problem. But at least have the responsibility. It's your duty to just dispose it off. I mean, but we've just forgotten how to take care of what we have. I feel, which is a pity.
Again, you raise that point. We have become complacent.
We've become complacent. हमारे,
ignorant too.
कि इतना कुछ है. I started realizing this when I started interacting with a lot of foreign travelers who would stand with their mouth open, sometimes with water coming out of their mouth. उन्होंने क्या देखा? They haven't. उनके पास एक दरवाजा होता है in Italy, a small little darwaja. They will protect it. Here we have lakhs and lakhs of these darwajas only in the Jaipur old city. So I mean, the comparison is crazy. I mean, the way they. But obviously, a lot of people are saying that even in the West, there is a lot of bad conservation that's happening. There's a lot of neglect happening. It's not all hunky-dory, like we say. But we don't have to compare ourselves to the West. We have to create our own sort of our own system.
Heritage.
And this is the biggest sort of, what do I say? It can be a great economical gain also to the country, because if you start opening up these places and sites and even privatizing them to certain people, if you can't take care of it, it opens an entire different sector completely, which I feel is totally untapped. So hopefully koi kuch karega, some conscious politician comes who wants to change it. Fingers crossed. Like someone told me, there's no expiry date for hope. One of my mentors told me. So you can keep hoping, basically.
Right. So you're talking about the foreigners. So it reminded me, like I met few people in Mumbai, in Goa.
Yeah.
The kind of awe that they used to have about Rajasthan was on different level. Like they loved the entire country, no doubt about that. But the kind of awe, the way they used to define Rajasthan, they used to talk about it. And even since I have been here in Jaipur since yesterday, the way people talk to each other, I have been too much fascinated with that too.
No, it is very cultural.
But I don't want to obviously replicate it, so it will look inauthentic on me. But I wish that wow, maybe I was here, I used to talk like that. That was something that came to me.
So I feel the same for you also, because मैं एक बहुत urbanized upbringing हुआ है मेरा. So I can of course speak in the language and understand it and speak my tuta puta Rajasthani. I speak with my grandmother. But I totally understand what you're saying, because I've also been brought up in different places, and there is no place like Rajasthan when it comes to
a little bit.
Yeah, there is no place like Rajasthan when it comes to maintaining culture, maintaining traditions, and just sort of, and which of course has changed now. And I think we're as bad as the next when it comes to maintaining our heritage and history. But now everything is moving more towards monetary gain than anything else.
Yeah.
But sorry, no, you were saying.
No, I was just asking. Tell me a little bit about your life journey too.
So I was basically born in Jaipur. My family is from here, but my dad was working in the tea gardens in the east of India. And at the time, it was quite funny. I mean, that's what my father's told me, that the people from the Rajput community, of course, if you were a Raja or a Rawat, or you had your own fiefdom and you had to take care of your property, you would do that. But the other two sort of occupations for the Rajputs were, of course, joining the military, which is either the army, the navy, or the air force.
Right.
Primarily army. But I have a grand uncle who actually rose to become the admiral of the navy, so there is that legacy as well. But बहुत सारे लोग basically tea gardens join करते थे, where they were made to
manage that estate.
Manage tea estates, which was very similar to आपने घर पे जो देखा है. So a lot of people from the Rajput community went to the tea gardens, worked in Assam, worked in Bengal. So my father was one of them, and he got transferred to Calcutta when I was very, very young. So मेरी upbringing काफी till I was 10-11 Calcutta में हुई है, इसीलिए मेरा accent ऐसा है. Because Calcutta is very anglicized.
Right.
I remember in my school we had to put a 5 rupee coin if you would speak in Hindi.
Oh,
and it was
bad.
sadly, which I regret now, but it was almost that we have to speak in English, and English
was it a convent school?
It was St. James's school.
Yeah, those rules were there in Delhi and NCR too.
Yeah. But Calcutta, being this hub of the British, it has a very anglicized culture as well, and maybe that sort of somehow.
It carried on.
Yeah, carried on in a way that. So when I shifted out here, basically, and I joined this boarding school called Mayo College, where my father and family studied. And
where is it? I have heard
that is in Ajmer. It's about 2 hours.
Right.
It's in the center of Rajasthan, but it was the only sort of territory which was under the British. Others were all under a Raja, Maharaja, a Thakur, a Nawab. There was one Nawab in Rajasthan, the Nawab of Tonk.
Okay.
Who was placed there basically to create friction between the Rajput princes. We can get to that if we get time or the next time. But I'm sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. Lost
Mayo College.
So Mayo College. Yeah. So I was sent to Mayo then, and I finished my schooling from there, and where I was exposed to the wealth of what Rajasthan is all about, whether it's stories, its people, its culture, its tradition, its clothes, its language, its food, its weapons. And the way that they've documented and maintained it is fabulous. So my first sort of fascination was when I joined Mayo. And then of course because I tend to read a little bit, so I started reading a lot. I started doing a lot of research on my own family because my parents were not so interested in this. And considering that our grandparents and all were at the time when independence was happening, there was almost a sort of thing that you don't want to associate yourselves with the past, with the feudal past. And so modern thinking became to reject
people
a lot
made
of
to
your culture
their
and
own
tradition, especially the Rajputs. If you see even Bollywood movies and everyone, all the villains were some Singh or some Thakur, or so this sort of, and I feel maybe at one time it may have been necessary to balance out.
I don't.
But I mean, just to give the benefit of doubt, but it continued. And many of these scholars now say that the history has been most unkind to the Rajputs when it comes to their valor and their courage. And that's another point of my research, is trying to do as much as I can and finding out more and more and bringing it to light. These sort of incredible, like I said in my last podcast.
In a way, that has been done to us.
Absolutely. And if you really see, it is... I mean, Game of Thrones is nothing when you talk about the stories of the Rajputs. And there is intrigue, there is politics, there is valor, there is death, there is nobility, there is honor.
And there is righteousness too. I would emphasize on that.
Absolutely, all the time. And
they didn't leave the path of dharma.
Never. I mean, a lot of people ask that so many old civilizations, why did they collapse within 50 years, 60 years? One generation may change. Whether you see Persia, whether you see South America, why is it that the Indian subcontinent, the Indic civilization has still lasted in some form, in most of its form till date, is because our Rajas and Maharajas refused to convert.
And they were backed by their populace.
And they were backed by the population. And again, I spoke about this in my last thing. When independence was happening, there was basically little or no revolt. If you've seen any other transfer of power, there's always been a massacre of the royal family.
You're just talking about this with the Virendra.
You have, all right, and he's a stalwart when it comes to that. But I mean, and nobody talks about this, which is the funny part. You know, the things they try and sort of target us as, oh, you guys were alcoholics and you guys
Not
were...
even independence, if we go back like for thousands of years, we haven't seen that happening ever.
Nowhere at all, you know. So, I mean, the Rajputs, without trying to blow our own trumpet, I think if people really do without any prejudice or stereotypes, if they read about the Rajputs, it's fascinated people before and it will continue fascinating people if you look at it with a very sort of non-prejudiced way.
Even James Todd, when he did that, I think it was I have heard and I have read about it, that those two books was the catalyst which you have, since you have lived in Calcutta.
Right.
Those two books are the catalyst for Calcutta Renaissance or Bengal Renaissance.
Yeah.
And that was the reason that they had to leave Calcutta and shift their capital to Delhi, because otherwise they would not have been able to sustain there.
So we owe a lot to James Todd.
Opposite side on the country.
Imagine.
People are getting inspired by that.
So that's how, I mean, that's why we are a nation that are so proud, because we've all inspired each other in some capacities, in some ways.
And he has made lots of mistakes and blunders in that.
So Jodha Akbar wala myth is basically James Todd's creation. But for James Todd, what he did for the Rajputs is immense. Although he not hated, it's too strong a word, but disliked Jaipur. So there's James Todd's documentation of Jaipur is, I would tell people not to read it, because it's just very unacademic.
Why so?
Because so there are two reasons. One is that James Todd sort of spent most of his time in Udaipur in Mewar.
Right.
And the Mewaris, because of the old history between Jaipur and Mewar, have a sort of way of looking at Jaipur. Not, of course, anymore. The second more interesting reason is that Jaipur was not coming under the protectorate of the British. They were the last people to sign the treaty. And so he was little peeved off and wanted to, tighten the screws and needle them. And so he made them out to be very non-honorable sort of ancestors of theirs. And so I've done research. There's enough people who have point by point refuted James Todd as sort of... So despite us owing a lot to the man, I mean, the British thought he was half Rajput himself. They had to send him back to England because he thought he's going to sort of conspire with us and then attack the British. But there are also a lot of misconceptions, especially when it comes to Jaipur, when it comes to James Todd. And I still have these arguments with people. And nowadays everyone's become so sort of stuck sometimes on their thoughts that to explain one thing, it always leads to a sort of aggressive argument. So that is one point to James Todd that I do, being a person from Jaipur who's studying and learning and researching the history and heritage of Jaipur. That's one injustice that's been done to the Jaipur rulers. Apart from that, whether you talk about the geography, there's no one who's explained the geography of especially the central west states like James Todd has.
I mean, there are lots of credit that has to be given to him, but then there are
like everybody. I mean,
too.
he was given a village.
He was an outsider. We have to give him.
He was given a village in Mewar, Todgarh. Have you heard of?
No, I have not.
There is a place named after Todd called Todgarh, and now bolte in the local boli, wo Tadgarh ho gaya.
Okay.
But there still is with a little gadi named after James Todd.
Todd is not something that we can pronounce. None of our people.
There's some interesting. Jaipur has one of, what a Thekana is? Thekana were the feudal estates under the... Jaipur has a Portuguese Thekanedar, De Silva, who came from Portugal, and they were given a Jagir, as they say.
I mean, that
and they
I
still
can,
stay here.
Imagine, but Todgarh I was not a fan.
Todgarh is a beautiful area, very, very beautiful scenery and hills and jungle.
Because even at that time, even Ranjit Singh ji and many other kings too, they used to take help of Westerners, or so to say, other European countries
of course.
In making their strategy for the army.
Deeply entrenched at the time, whether it was the French or the Armenians or the
Dutch
Germans or the
Portuguese.
Dutch, all. 1757 to 1857 in India was a very sort of interesting time, for a lack of a better word, but बहुत कुछ हो रहा था उस time में.
Lots of turmoil, yeah. So there is a recent, I think, development. I'm not sure if you have heard about it. I think government has done some changes that they are trying to make the heritage management system some sort of private and
So P2P, public and private sort of undertaking,
sort of partnership.
PPU.
Have you read about it? Have you any hopes from it?
I have read about it. I mean, it's a good move.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. As long as there is enough sort of guidelines and the guidelines are followed, I think it's much required because the government doesn't have the...
No, ASI doesn't have that.
ASI is not even for heritage. It's an archaeological survey of India. Archaeology
but
is
they are
digging.
Controlling it.
They are, I mean, but it's not fair to them also in a way because they are understaffed. And the amount of wealth that we have, I feel we should have a heritage ministry in India, which we don't, which is just basic job is to sort of safeguard the interests of these heritage sites and structures and
Makes
places
sense.
and recipes and anything related to culture and heritage should be sort of looked into with more seriousness, I feel. But wo ASI becharo ko de rakha hai, they have to dig, they are digging now, so they will neglect the other places. So anyway, it's a mess.
So एक ब्रूटलिज्म करके एक आर्किटेक्चर में होता है जो वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद आया था. मैं अभी जब आपके पॉडकास्ट के लिए रिसर्च कर रहा था तो मैंने कहीं और चीज़ें जो पढ़ी उसमें मुझे पता चला which is something that we have replicated all around India and
Chandigarh is the best example of it.
हाँ, तो चंडीगढ़ was still a beginning. अब तो जो है अब तो सब जगह उन्होंने वही सेम मॉडल रेप्लिकेट कर दिया है. So now all our cities look similar and I would not hesitate to say all our cities look ugly.
You're absolutely right. And I feel we should call a spade now. You know, it's we've lost all sense of aesthetics from being champions of aesthetics. We've become champions in ruining it. मतलब कुछ सुंदर है तो उसको भी खराब करना.
Like we blindly followed West in this, and we didn't have to because there was no devastation in our country at least because of World War II.
Yeah, exactly.
They had to do it because lots of bombs were dropped, lots of
absolutely
buildings were collapsed. That is also something that you know you have done your research about. Tell me something more about it.
So brutalism, I found this very interesting when I heard the term because I found the term very interesting कि क्या होगा and all. And I used to think what brutal buildings होंगे, which is not true.
Raw concrete.
It's raw concrete like basically.
That,
So all these structures, Chandigarh has a lot of them around. We've seen it's tied to do with a lot of socialist architecture, where there was no form of design or art that was included in the architecture. It was very function based. I am not a big fan of it at all. I feel India is maximalism and we are all about flowy lines and design and wall paintings. But brutalism sadly had such a big impact that it's sort of taken over the landscape in these different cities, including Jaipur. You know, there are places like there's a Nehru Sekhar Bhavan, which is very brutal, brutalist in its architecture. So, I mean, I was watching a podcast on someone and how, you know, where are the aesthetics gone? Why have we become this community, society that's just sort
herd
of outright
mentality we have
rejecting? But it makes no sense. I mean, even in villages now, people are making these ugly glass houses, whereas before, they used to have, and it's not a money thing. People think it's a class thing. I've gone and seen a person's house in a village who's not from a very sort of influential background having better aesthetics than someone in Bombay making a glass building or a glass house. So it still continues.
Any idea how मतलब जो हमारा जो modern architecture का जो raw concrete वाला जो style है and the earlier what we used to have, which one is more costlier? So like you are telling about the person who made this architecture, so if he would have made it in the way the modern architectures are made,
right,
वो उसे costly पड़ता है या what he did?
वो आपको ठेकेदार से पूछना पड़ेगा. I'm not
it makes sense.
But you know, the thing is, it may be a little more expensive to make classical architecture or use classical materials, but it will last you so much longer. Concrete and cement last for how long? Yeah, 80, 100 years. People say max to max.
Made to last forever almost.
So 1000 साल आपके, you know, 1000 years if you keep it well.
Chittorgarh, if you see, like
Chittor, I mean, Ambe, all the, I mean, you know, there's just no dearth of buildings and structures. So I feel that, you know, it's just sochne wali baat. It's I call it heritage consciousness. You know, we've lost that, how we look at things. And Rajasthan was famous for it because we belong to a desert, more or less. You know, it's an arid, semi-arid sort of region. The Rajasthanis looked at land and resources differently because they are the only people जो पूरे दुनिया में एक desert में रहते हैं इतने highest capacity
There was
में
scarcity of resources.
so much
Very
so that
हाँ.
they used to even harness moisture. Forget about पानी तो आप manage कर रहे हो पकड़ रहे हो even moisture को पकड़ के ये लोग करते थे. So in Rajasthan there's a beautiful book I must suggest anyone in Hindi though called Rajasthan की रजत बूंदे. And people compare droplets of rain to silver. It was so precious. And that's why water is something that's common, the importance in Rajasthan. आपने देखा होगा जयपुर आप आए तो यहाँ कोई धोरे तो है नहीं. यहाँ पे हमारे अरावली धोरा sand dunes.
Okay.
We don't have sand dunes that you see Jaisalmer, Jodhpur. So the Aravali hill range cuts Rajasthan in two parts. One is
Here
western.
to Mewar it goes, right?
Yeah, so one is western, which is more where you see the dunes and camels and what people think Rajasthan is. Again, water very important there. The second is our side, which is eastern Rajasthan, which is Jaipur and Kota and Alwar and Bundi and Baswada, which is east of the Aravali range, which is more hill ranges. So it is also very dry. So the hill ranges have been used to catch water in the most spectacular ways. So that's another thing that people, we talk about the Mughal patronage of art and architecture. Somehow the Rajputs just get sort of missed out. Why don't people talk about Rajput gardens? Why don't people talk about Rajput water systems, which is fabulous? In Jaipur में there are 800 wells. Venice में 600 wells है.
इसमें फिर हमें वही history में जाना पड़ेगा.
History में, and I feel just
Why it
promoting it
happened?
well.
Because they don't want to give credit to our native civilization.
Someone said this very well. I've forgotten who. One of some. You know that Rajputs represent the best of India and our Indian civilization, and this narrative of putting down the Indians comes hand to hand, and because of that the Rajputs are also put in, because the minute you give us this pedestal is people will realize and will feel a certain pride in being Indians, which people don't want. So that's just
unfortunate.
The dirty game that's being played. But what to do? I mean, we as Rajputs, as people or as historians, have to sort of just keep at it. I mean, I feel it's a duty now more than work that we have to. I mean, without whitewashing anything, without
putting anybody else down.
Exactly. You don't have to now. Today, if the Marathas are, in the limelight and they want to sort of with Bollywood movies and stuff, great. But when you're in that process, you don't have to put the Rajputs down, because then the Rajputs have enough sort of ammo to put you down, and then it just becomes a dirty game,
Yeah, exactly. So, dirty war, dirty social media.
Yeah. Which is already happening now. You go on
Yes,
Twitter, there's only communities abusing each other. I mean, what pride will we have in the nation if that is... and I was very much against it, but the minute I saw how easily people are offended and how fast they are to react...
Against what?
Against anything. If you say something that, like for example, this is an interesting part that we spoke about Yadav Rajputs, and I am a Yadav Rajput. But in the 1910-20s, there was a Mahasabha of the Ahir community where they got all the sort of pastoral communities together and told them, we will all start writing the word Yadav. And so the Yadav Rajputs stopped and shifted to Jado. And Yadav and Jado are interchangeable, like Yamuna and Jamuna are interchangeable. Braj mein Y and J are similar. And today, the Yadavs or the Ahirs as such, try and put a bad name on the Rajputs, saying that, oh, no, you don't have to, it's clear-cut history and there is enough evidence to see who is what.
Not only bad name, they try to tell that they are fake.
Exactly, so
that's pathetic in a way.
It's pathetic in lots of different levels, and people aren't ready to understand. I mean, if you're trying to explain to someone, they say, oh, don't get all riled up. But they want to get riled up and they want to sort of give their opinion, but don't want to hear yours. So we've also become a society where we want to talk but not listen in a way.
And the same, I think, the discussion that I was telling you about with Virendraji,
right,
on his book Gurjar Desh,
right,
it was centered around that only.
Absolutely.
So I'll definitely send you the link. So
we have inscriptions, we have data, everything that points out that Samrat Prithviraj Chauhan was a Rajput, Mihir Fauji was a Rajput. I mean, there is enough evidence.
It's silly and
it's called Sanskritization. It's human nature. If you study psychology, there's something called Maslow's theory, theory of hierarchy, where you keep reaching a certain level, so you want the next thing. What is the next thing? Is let me sort of I won't say fabricate. So Ahirs did have some sort of association through Nand Baba, since Krishna Bhagwan was brought up there. But I'm sure Nand Baba himself wouldn't say that I am a Yaduvanshi, I'm a Yadav, right? But I mean, it is what it is now.
It's okay. Everything that is happening, no, not okay. I'm not somebody who is authority to say that it is okay, but it is okay as long as you're not abusing the
Exactly.
other party.
See gods and these really famous figures. I think all of us as Indians,
They
we're
are
not
all
even
sacred to us.
Everyone has a
Everyone,
right
yes.
to. You know, they belong to all of us. We have a right to be. But exactly what you're saying, and this is what I noticed, and that's when I started talk. Otherwise, I was very much like, oh, you know, we should all, you know, we as Indic people should sort of, you know, think and talk in a certain way, and we all. But the minute you start speaking to certain communities, you see the venom that's there for the Rajputs, and that sort of just changed my mindset a little
It's been
bit.
filled into them, like that's.
It is. I mean,
Actually, I also struggle with something similar. Like
you do.
you know,
Yeah.
the Raghavs were called Bhadgurjars.
Yeah.
So then there is again that
In fact,
conflict.
Jaipur.
Bhadgurjars are positioned as Gujars, and that is again, I would say, is okay. But then you cannot be vile against us. You cannot be abusing my ancestors.
Right.
I cannot allow that. I cannot accept that.
Of course. So that's you'll be, now that you talk about the Bhargurjars, Jaipur or Dhundhar was actually ruled by the Bhargurjars.
Till
the
1025.
the Minas actually held little pockets. I mean, of course, they were in the hills, in the khos as we call them, jo ravines hote, and the Rajputs were ruling the plains. And
No, Minas used to fight along with the for Bhadgurjars.
Exactly. So by the end of it, the most powerful Meena chief, the Rao Bhatto, was from Amber. He was from the Susawat clan of Meenas.
Okay.
So when the Meenas, everyone would come to him, the Meenas would go to him if they had any problem or any issue.
Okay.
And if they still couldn't sort of resolve it, the final sort of loose allegiance was with the Bhargujar Raja of Devti bolte the us time, which is this, I don't know whether you've been there, but it's the most spectacular. Sariska ke paas mein hai. Rajorgarh, and it's basically one of your main the
It was the
Bhargujars.
last bastion in Rajasthan.
Yeah,
in a
and
way.
Dhundhar was basically half of Dosa was of the Bhargujars.
Half was of Kachwahas, but that half was taken somewhere around 10.
No, so half
11th
was with the
century.
Chauhans and half was with the
They
Bhargujars.
took it from Chauhans.
They married into the Chauhans and conquered it from the Bhargujars.
Agreed.
And then of course they married into the Bhargujars.
Then
and they still-
Rajorgarh attacked, but it failed somehow.
It failed a few times, and then the main branch, I think, then shifted to Aligarh.
One of the branches.
One of the main, Baroli Rao, I think.
But the others shifted to Rajasthan, 4 areas in
different.
Rajasthan.
Alwar mein also there are a
Alwar,
couple of places.
Sikri,
Yeah.
Sikargarh.
So,
which is known
so
as-
because of that, yeah, there are a lot of people who assume that Bhargujars are belonging to the Gujar community, which is not true at all. I mean, and the same thing goes to Gujar Desh or Gujar Samrat, and I mean, and great. I mean, and like I keep saying, I don't want to do the same thing these other. I mean, respect to the Gujars and to the Meenas and to the Haris. You have your own rich history. You have your own things to be proud of. You have your own culture. Why sort of
Digress from it, and it is not only disrespectful for me, and if you tell those things to my ancestors, that is disrespectful, obviously. But when you slide away from your own history, you're disrespecting your own ancestors.
Exactly.
Who have sacrificed their life continuously over and over
You're doing
for
injustice to them.
generations, many
Absolutely.
generations.
Well said, yeah. You know, so it's a double injustice that's
Right.
happening, which is, I mean,
So let's come back to our
of course.
topic. So I wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
Was architecture, this beautiful architecture that our kings used to make, was it a sign of status somehow?
I don't think it was a sign of status. Yes, of course, when you're living in this feudal system, everything is status also in a way,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Even now, if I digress, Hawa Mahal was made, I mean, obviously as the crown of Krishna Bhagwan, unke mukut ke hisab se, but amongst the other reasons, it was also made kiya as a status symbol to show ki jo aate jate rehte hai bazaar mein, because us time pe to you couldn't buy a ticket to the museum and go inside and see all the beautiful things, right? आपको क्या exposure मिलेगा महाराजा की का art and architecture? हवा महल. So that's why it's showing, it's facing the bazaar, right? And so I feel it was a status thing, but I feel it goes beyond that, because the Rajputs were not making these beautiful buildings only in peace times.
It was also about application of mind too. I'm assuming.
You were dialoguing with the environment, with the terrain, and that's why you see our buildings like in the West are not imposing. They'll cut a mountain completely and then build a palace. We would talk to the palace and build it according to its contours and stuff. So even if you go to see the Jaipur wall, it's like a snake going over the thing, which is spectacular.
Same with many forts.
So we were not we truly knew how to coexist at the time. We were not trying to impose ourselves, and I feel the Rajputs have played a major role in that. Whether it's patronizing the art and the craft. Today, what's happening? A lot of crafts or heritage crafts.
At the cost of environment.
No, it's disappearing. You see a lot of old artisans, artists and craftsmen are disappearing because after independence, there's no one to patronize them. Who's going to support them? They are performing a craft that's not lucrative, and they are not businessmen who are going to scale up. The Maharajas and the Maharanis were supporting them. They are not given credit for that. Sorry, you were saying something also.
I meant modern development. It is coming at the cost of environment.
Absolutely.
Now, which was not the case before. Because मतलब पूरी संस्कृति ही शायद अगर मैं कहूँ तो हमारी कहीं ना कहीं कोएग्जिस्टेंस के बारे में ही है. वी यूज टू ऐसे ही थोड़ी कण कण में नारायण बोल दिया है.
बिल्कुल
हम मानते थे ना. हम तो वही अब सोशल मीडिया पे भी ये बात होती है, हमने तो पत्थरों को भी पूजा, तो हमने नदियों को भी पूजा, तो हमने तो जंगलों को भी पूजा, तो हमने पहाड़ों को भी पूजा. ऐसी थोड़ी गोवर्धन पर्वत सेक्रेड है. सारे पर्वत सेक्रेड होते थे. तो उनको ऐसे डिस्ट्रॉय करना, वाइल्ड लाइफ को डिस्ट्रॉय करना. वाइल्ड लाइफ में अगर हम कहते हैं राजपूतों के लिए, इसके लिए भी बहुत क्रिटिसिज्म होता है कि वी यूज टू हंट, है ना, आवर पीपल यूज टू हंट, बट उसमें भी रूल था दैट यू कैन नॉट हिट अ फीमेल.
Right, so it was very regulated, and was less to do with shooting an animal for the joy of it. Of course, it was for the pot. That means for eating, and also to survey your lands. People don't think about that. That back in the day, Google Map थोड़ी ना था कि आप खोल के देखो कि अच्छा, how do you know about places? This shikar was an excuse to go ride and check your land. कि आप उस पहाड़ी में गए, आप उस तालाब में गए, आप यहाँ गए, वहाँ गए. Of course, one sort of chink in the armor is that to entertain these British people who came,
I agree,
in the early modern era, is when we would take people there, and at that time there are certain instances I mean, we can't deny it, and we shouldn't also, but we were doing it to entertain the white man who was coming here to colonize us, So somewhere down the line, I feel that is one thing. But to counter that also, hunters have been. What do you think Jim Corbett was? He was a hunter. Billy Arjun Singh was a hunter. There's a very disturbing, if you know about Billy Arjun Singh, was this very famous Dudhwa National Park is the one that he's sort of really built. And as a child, he's written in his book that he took a pellet gun and went to a leopard and kept shooting it when it was inside a cage. So he has these memories, but those memories made him into one of the greatest conservationists that India has. So it is always hunters that become conservationists.
You'll have to go a little bit more detail about this.
About hunting?
I didn't get the context.
Okay, so
the pellet gun.
So Billy Arjun Singh was this gentleman from one of the Punjab royal families, but one of the younger branches. He was based in different parts of UP. So he's written in his book, I'll suggest it to you, that as a child, he remembers with his cousin going to a zoo at the time, and they jumped the wall or something and all of that, and there was a leopard sitting very elegantly in its cage. These guys went, it was an air gun.
Okay.
And what will the leopard do? I mean, it's inside the cage, and they went and kept shooting it. An air gun won't kill it. It'll injure it, and sort of, and this is his words, he's written, and of course, that regret stayed with him all his life.
Okay.
But you can see the nature of the person and how things change also. So these hunters, Jim Corbett, Billy Arjun Singh, who've hunted big game, small game, who've also had bad instances like I just told you about, became the biggest conservationists. They are the ones. Jim Corbett was the first person, I think, to have a national park named after him. Billy Arjun Singh created
I think he killed a man-eater.
He used to later on, but of course they've all hunted like mad. That's how you get to know the understand the jungle.
That was how they were molded back then. Na?
And somehow,
even in Americas, they killed all the...
But we didn't wipe out. When you go to Europe and America, they have no wildlife left. How do we still have our wildlife left? Whether it's the lion, with tiger, it's the only country in the world that has the tiger and the lion together. We have elephants, we have crocodiles, we have gharial, it's also to do with, and I love saying this to the foreigner that comes, that our gods were associated with one animal or a bird or something. So because of that, for a large part, we looked at these animals as having a part of Devta. Devta ke ansh bhi hai wo. So because of that also, we still have a large population. But the West keeps telling us कि आपने इतना hunting, इतना bad. Why do we still have so many animals left, and why do you have nothing at all? So
and they have no right to shame
exactly
us on that, because you wiped out the entire wildlife in wherever you went. Like wherever you were ruling in Africa, gone.
There were 16 different types of elephants. 16. अभी तो African Indian बोलते हैं ना.
And why would anybody hunt elephants?
The ivory.
For ivory, right? They are not some target
not
which
predators.
are difficult to kill.
Absolutely.
Right? They are like slow moving, big, giant.
Gentle, yeah. I mean, it's.
So you are doing it for greed, and
exactly. And we used to do it for survival. Although I'm not a fan even back
I'm
of the day, but yeah.
But
it was like I told you, it was more a cultural thing. It was more a physiographical thing.
But back then, I think it was about archery skills too.
Also that, yeah.
Right.
And
after guns came, that didn't the context changed.
It became less earlier. Why is it called game? Game hunting आपने सुना होगा कि game hunting क्योंकि equal chance जानवर का भी होना चाहिए. You're not कि आप जाके वो machine gun लेके otherwise it becomes you have to have, so it's a game between.
ऐसा कुछ बोलते थे ना हिंदी में शायद संस्कृत.
शिकार ही बोलते थे. I think शिकार may be a Persian word by the sounds of it.
ऐसा कुछ मैंने सुना है. I'm not able to recall properly.
It was basically an equal. You would give equal chance to the animal. You would not shoot animals in a certain part of the year because at that time it was their breeding time. You would not shoot females. People would not shoot sitting ducks. That whole saying comes from there only. Yeah? You have to have like a good chance to miss, and that's where the sport came in. But of course, thankfully or not thankfully, after independence they've banned it. So there's no hunting anymore. So poaching hota hai.
And boars I think target होते थे because they used to destroy.
They killed many people also. A lot of one or two Maharajas also sort of they were mauled by. Wild boars were strong.
They are.
I mean, they can really.
They're fast, no? Very
fast, strong, intelligent. But it's and even now that you're talking within the ball, so there are lots of like the Bharatiya Rajputs who also claim descent from Krishna decided that they won't hunt boar at all. Because Vishnu ji's one avatar was the. Which one was it? The Varaha avatar. Sorry,
first,
I don't know why. Third, I think.
Second.
The first was Matsya
avatar.
Then
second
was
is Varaha.
Kurm, which is the turtle.
Third is Varaha.
And then the boar. So they don't do it because they feel that Krishna Bhagwan is one of their ancestors, and because of that they consider it to be his ansh only, so we won't. I mean, everyone has their own. That's how culture
Even
building happens.
Vadiyars claim it reminded me. Even Vadiyars claim
but
lineage
the Rajput community, at least the. So what is the Rajput, right? It's a community of 36 clans. Over the years, aage piche bhi hue, but these 36 have stayed throughout. Out of which the Yadus or Jadons or Bhatis are basically one. The Raghuvanshis or the Bhadgurjars are one. The Kachwahas are one. The Sisodias are one. The Jhalas, Bundelas. So there are 36 of them. The Wadiyars are not from that 36 clan. But later on, what happened is that this concept of Raja ki Raja se shadi ho sakti hai. You don't have to be from the same community to get married to each other, and that's why marriages. But if you open up old history, there is no marriage between a Rajput state and Mysore.
Okay. Stepwell पे मैं दोबारा एक बार आना चाहूँगा.
अरे वाह, that's my favorite.
हाँ, so Stepwell की साइंस के बारे में आपने क्या पढ़ा है, क्या पता करा है?
So Stepwell basically एक अब generic term हो गया to just talk about some elaborate water monument structure. We all know about कुआं जो होते हैं, अपने wells जो होते हैं वो simple है. But our Indian subcontinent was famous for, as I call them, underground temples or underground palaces to make it easier. Right?
Underground palaces.
So, what does a well do? Right? It drills deep into the ground where you reach an aquifer, which is groundwater, and you draw water from there. Right? So think of step wells to be an extension of that. That means you have your draw well, which is connected to an aquifer. That means आपका groundwater आ रहा है. But you make it twofold, where you have steps from the ground descending to the source of that groundwater. So you can
conical shape.
Not conical. There can be different shapes.
Okay.
There's square shapes. There's one which is swastik shaped also. So
No,
there are
but
very
it is inclined towards the bottom.
yeah, it'll be
That way
so
I'm
it'll
saying
descend.
conical.
Yeah, it'll descend the steps from the surface level. It'll descending depending upon how deep your well is, how deep the aquifer is. It'll descend accordingly. Whether it's some go down 9 floors also, and some go down 2 floors and 3 floors. So every step well is different because a step well is not a architectural structure. It's based on the geography.
Right, wherever
So-
water is more scarce, I think it will go deeper or
आपका
not.
हाइड्रोजियोलॉजी आपको पढ़ना होता है, आपको ज्योग्राफी पढ़नी होती है, आपको आर्किटेक्चर पढ़ना होता है. It's a fascinating. I mean, that's why when architects have come from abroad and seen it, they were like, "What is this? I mean, how do you not allow the walls to cave in because there is pressure coming from the different grounds, right?" So that was basically a step well, and they are unique to the Indian subcontinent. But after pipelines came in, tube wells came in, we abandoned step wells like horses were abandoned or donkeys were abandoned when the motor car came. छोड़ दिया हम लोग ने बिल्कुल. पीपल ने घर बना दिए उनके ऊपर. पीपल ने हाईवे, अगर कोई हाईवे बनाना था, एक पुराना 1000 साल पुराना स्टेप वेल था, उसको भर के हाईवे बना दिया. And so we've neglected these structures because they were not of use. So that brings us to a very interesting heritage discussion, is that when you restore monuments or restore structures, you just restore it to, that means repair it, or do you revive it in a way that you start using it? Now, stepwell doesn't have to be used as a water. Suppose the water aquifer mein sook gaya, but you can still catch water. You can still make galleries, and these stepwells I was telling you were like palaces, right? So they had galleries and rooms and all sorts of spaces inside. You can use it in different functions.
Will we need to go back to it? I think I am.
Oh yeah, we can do an entire talk on only stepwells also.
That's not what I'm.
Oh, you're saying we do have? It could be because
the way water is depleting
we're
the groundwater.
destroying the
is
groundwater. We're drilling 500 feet. वहाँ से पानी खींच रहे हैं. We've stopped understanding how water works. We've stopped valuing water, and it's not helping that in Rajasthan it's raining so much also. So that's my joke that I give, that since I've started studying stepwells in the last 3-4 years, they're all submerged. सब underwater है because उसका main function क्या है? Tank ही तो है वो. So step well is what we call a baudi, और दिल्ली में बाउली बोलते हैं. Different ways of saying. गुजरात में वाव बोलते हैं.
हाँ, वाव.
And एक
और
कुंड
एक
होता
बहुत
है.
गुजरात का बहुत फेमस भी है, कौन सी है?
रानी की वाव.
रानी की वाव. हाँ, I think that is very beautiful.
That is so beautiful that, and so large that it's been cannibalized. That means there is a local farmer there जिसने वहाँ सामान निकाल के उसने खुद का स्टेपवेल बना दिया वहाँ पे in his own private property from the Rani ki Vav. But the Rani ka Vav is still standing, of course. So it's that big. It's spectacular. It's the mother of all stepwells in India.
Is it? Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the biggest?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Biggest, most intricate. It's like an underground.
Who was the
Kailasha.
queen? Who was the queen?
So the queen was from the forgetting her name.
Even I have
They were from Anilwada, Patan. Forgetting the exact
But
name of
she
the
has a
queen.
very interesting history. I think
She was from the Solanki one, basically.
Solanki,
Yeah, Chalukyas जैसे बोलते हैं.
हाँ, उसमें भी एक argument रहता है, but we
अच्छा.
not supposed to get into.
But the interesting part about stepwells is you'll see a majority of them were commissioned by women.
Okay.
People keep saying, "Oh, Rajputs, women, you know, your community, Indians, you guys haven't." Our main deity is Mataji. The only saying, we don't say Namaskar, and Khamagani has become a more of a generic, but we say Jai Mataji ki.
That is actually often repeated. I'm adding on to your point that the biggest flaws of Rajputs were that they didn't respect their women, and it is something that I cannot relate to. I
Completely
agree
untrue.
that Sati and those things can be debated, but there were reasons for it.
So Sati and Jauhar are very different.
Different, I know. Yeah, but you can tell.
Yeah, no, sorry, I keep cutting you.
No. I have made my point.
Yeah, so and people keep thinking that these women were forced. It was their own choice. I mean,
Right.
Whether it's even Sati for that matter. And in Rajasthan, it's very sacred because we have Sati Matas. That means ladies who voluntarily chosen to sort of emulate themselves, emulate, I'm saying, to do the sort of Agni, entering the fire. And they've been deified in a way that they have become sort of demigods or gods themselves. So these people were put in sacred sort of positions. They were given a pedestal. And so it's very, I mean, people don't understand it. We understand Sati with Raja Ram Mohan Roy and what was happening in Bengal. And, you know, there's a whole sort of conspiracy to that also. But Jauhar was completely different. And I have this argument with people online who say, you know, these Instagrammers from the West who like to, use our history but twist it in a way to sort of get their likes and visibility. And they say that, and they make it out to be that we were forcing these women to jump in, whereas it was a complete choice of the women. When the men were going, people were like, oh, why weren't men jumping? The men were going for a suicide mission to fight to the death, right? Saka, as we say, Kesariya Safa, आप बांध के आप साका के लिए जाते थे. So you were going for a sort of definite death, and the women would sort of, this was their way of fighting the opponent, because they knew that the minute if they lost, and usually this would happen when the odds were very
sieges,
and odds हमारे 500 लोग हैं वो 10,000 लोग हैं, you know, so there was no chance. The siege was lifted. You didn't have water, you didn't have अनाज नहीं था आपके गढ़ में. And so this was the last stand, basically.
Right.
And then the men would go sort of on their horses attacking in for Saka, and the women, because they knew that by chance, when the people come in, they are not going to kill them, which they were happy to sort of die with their husbands and families. They would take them as sex slaves and servants. In fact, across the Hindu Kush का नाम ही इसलिए पड़ा है, some people say, because there were mounds and mounds of dead Hindus out there, because we couldn't survive the journey. इतना ठंड था वहाँ पे.
Those who used to be taken as slave.
And people said, oh, then why didn't you अच्छा poison करते? Why is this fire thing? These people would be defiling bodies, dead bodies also. You know,
necrophilia.
Completely. And you wouldn't, and they would do it in front of your family members, the ones who had survived, and then kill them, you know. So this was a way, and of course, in our Vedic culture, the fire purification is given a very high pedestal, right? I mean, that's old Vedic culture also, whether you see the Zoroastrians, who I find as a sister culture to the old Vedic, fire is given this importance, this all-consuming
because
sort of...
it is also about evolution. Exactly. Why fire is given that much importance, because it ये सब चीज़ें तो वेस्ट मान लेता है कि फायर से ही ह्यूमन लाइफ आई, फायर से ही हमारे अंदर वो प्रोटीन आए जिससे हमारा माइंड उस तरीके से डेवलप करा. लेकिन व्हेन आवर पीपल आर वर्शिपिंग फायर, देयर इज रीजन बिहाइंड इट, बिकॉज इट वाज द थिंग दैट गेव अस दिस type of life that we are living. It is controlling fire
exactly.
was
controlling
main
nature at the time, like when we were hunter gatherers,
so that we can cook the food
and protect yourself from wild animals.
Exactly.
You know, and sort of burn things that would further help you, whether it's foil, whether it's fuel, so much, you know. So, I mean, the West shouldn't be talking. They were burning poor innocent women in the names of, you know, witch hunting and stuff.
Right,
so,
right.
you know, they have a lot more skeletons in their closet, and I think they're more sort of insecure about that. So they sort of just try and push all their guilt onto us.
Right, that has happened. So I'll come to that later. But also, the way Saka and Johar used to happen was like कि वो होता था 12-1 बजे. अगर एक टाइम का हम अंदाज़ा लगाएं, जौहर 12-1 बजे हो जाता था, और फिर ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में, जो कि हम जिसे मॉर्निंग का पहली सूर्य की किरण कहते हैं, उसमें राजपूत साका करने जाते थे. सो इट वाज लाइक कि जिसने अपने उस बीवी को, उस बच्चे को जलते हुए देखा है, जैसे उसने इस तरीके से,
the rage would be something else.
The rage that you'll have, it was about कि अब मैं मरना तो है ही, तो इस तरीके से मरूंगा कम से कम कि इनकी 7 पुश्तें याद रखें कि किससे लड़ाई हुई थी. सो इट वाज दैट कॉन्सेप्ट, जिसने अपने बच्चों को, बीवी को जलते हुए देखा, उसकी राख मल के जाते थे. सो दैट वाज हाउ इट वाज. एंड अगेन कमिंग बैक टू दैट क्रिटिसिज्म, those very same women were raising those men.
It was the women. You think the men were all out fighting in
how
battles?
did that mindset came to their mind?
The women
those
were the
women
strongest.
were raising.
Absolutely, the Rajput women are cut off a different cloth, I feel. You know, they were the ones who were instilling this feelings of honor and pride and courage and sacrifice and nobility in the children. I mean, of course, and they would fight when they had to. They would play politics when they had to. They were running the kingdom. Even in Jaipur, whether you find any of these old Rajputs, it was the Janana, the Rani Vas or the Raniyon ka Vas, which was running the place. The Maharaja was, of course, out and in and out. Half the Maharajas of Jaipur have not, or Amber, have not even died out here. They were just out.
They were
Bengal
out
and Deccan and
Afghanistan.
So it was the women out here.
And this trend has been coming since Mahabharata time. अगर हम द्रौपदी का भी वो देखते हैं, आजकल ये आ रही है बाहर बातें, पहले तो द्रौपदी को बहुत बेचारा बना के दिखा दिया गया था.
Right.
But now Amiganatra है, I'm sure you must have heard.
I've heard of her, yeah.
So the way she describes her That is entirely different from what we have been told from last 20-30 years.
Right.
She was the one handling and taking care of entire Indraprasth.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like handling all
Everything.
day-to-day matters of the Indraprasth. Kings used to do their things like they were doing it in 17th century, 16th century.
We were good for fighting, yeah. Like, you know, there is truth to it, yeah. I mean, testosterone is used in that, but the brain of the Rajput ladies. I mean, that's why. I mean, it's whether we see in history. And Vinamra asked me this question, that you find a lot of Rajput gotras or Rajput clans within different communities. Ye kaise aaya? And it comes back to this question, is that you were only a Rajput when your mother was a Rajput. Your father can be the Maharaja of wherever he wants, and you can be the eldest child, but if your mother is not a Rajput, so you would that sort of lineage.
होती थी गोत्र पिता का.
Lineage would be
बताया.
Yeah. So Gotra, of course, आपका father, and it has a scientific reason also, right? I mean, we can only pass on that gene. So just the
male
importance.
gene can be passed on by a male only.
So XY mein, I think the Y gene is only with us, right? Women are XX. That's how you. But the importance of women. I mean, and there are so many stories and monuments that testify that. Now it's just our job as people from the community or any historian or researcher to bring that up to light, and not. We're almost apologetic about our history. I was for the longest time, you know, growing up in the sort of thing where you almost felt bad to be a Rajput, where
defensive हो जाते थे.
Yeah, you know, where I felt that it did
guilt trip पे क्योंकि रखा गया ना बहुत समय
हमेशा से, you know, whether it's even within our community, it's something that seeped into the community also, where we were almost like trying to be holier than thou. I mean, it's Rajput ladies. I mean, I can really suggest a great person to talk to. She's this lady who runs this page called the Wise Stories or the Wise Pantry. Her name is Yuvragi.
Okay.
You must try and get her to speak just about the role of women in the Rajput society in history. She's very well read, whether in English, Hindi, Marwadi.
Definitely.
I'll share her contact with you also, and she'll be a brilliant person, because me talking about this thing is okay to a certain level, but I feel there'll be more depth when it comes from someone, a lady who's studying and researching and doing a lot of work in that field.
Makes sense. I'll definitely do that, because that is something also close to my heart, right?
Yeah.
That criticism is something that I have been handling my whole life as well, right? I have been put into that guilt trip too.
Yeah, that, you know,
the same guilt trip you are talking about.
Yeah, that, you know, inko kabhi badhne mat do, and, you know, the Rajputs shouldn't. And say the Rajputs are the ones who gave up. Tell me one community or one in the world who's given up land and property or whatever influence the way the Rajputs and other princely states also, but it was a majority of the Rajputs who like, bro, you're making India, we are part of it, we will join.
First one to, like, only few kingdoms were there जिनको convince करना पड़ा था.
And because of their own political reasons, because of the politics of the leaders at the time, you know, they were trying to sort of. And what did the government do then? They've taken away their titles, they took away their privy purse.
Everything they promised, they took it away.
And then today they're targeting them, and if they have a property that's in litigation which is theirs, the government will say no, and the court will say, how dare these people call themselves Maharajas. It's a cultural title. If I want to call the head of the Jaipur House Maharaja, it's my wish, it's my cultural right to do that. If I want to call the Maharaja of Karoli and his son Yuvraj Sahib, it's my cultural right. I mean, how can you say that it's illegal to do that? I mean, they are not saying that they don't write it in their passports, but it is a cultural thing. We want to sell the Rajput story and the history and heritage and get tourism, and, you know, but we don't want to sort of give them or give us that due.
The real part of it. Like you said it very properly ना, अभी आपने जब वो बोला, जब हम witch hunting वाली बात कर रहे थे, the way they oppressed, they as in Westerners oppressed and the natives of Africa and America, they superimposed that on us.
Exactly.
Because they didn't want to discuss that, what they were doing, they didn't want that to come in mainstream. But they superimposed that on us. But कहीं भी पूरे उसमें again जो आपने बोला, कोई uprising नहीं है, कोई वो नहीं है कि लोग
खुशी है. ये नहीं कि इनके 200 साल 300 साल हजार साल रूल कर रहे, 1500 साल मेवाड़ तो I don't know how long it's supposed to be the longest lineage till now, even more than Japan, they say, if you take, you know. and that then they make our history into
और फिर वो
mythology.
रघुवंश वाली बात ले आओ तो फिर तो बात ही खत्म हो गई.
हाँ वही, पर ये बोलेंगे नहीं अरे आप बोल सकते हो that you're related or you have 30-40 ancestors, but if an Indian says it, you're like it might be mythology and all of that. तो मरना चाहिए I think ऐसे लोगों को.
अच्छा, tell me one more मतलब I think this journey has been 4-5 years long for you for discovering this history, or Mayo से ही start हो गया था?
So I've been documenting actively and posting and talking about it since COVID.
No, I'm talking about the historical part.
I've since I was a child, I've been reading. I've charted all the
What
Rajputs.
fascinated you most, like इस पूरी journey में? What was that one thing? No, I'm sure there must be multiple things, but कुछ एक ऐसा जो.
So I just feel, and I feel that maybe a little ludicrous to talk about it again and again, but the valor and the courage of the Rajputs was unparalleled. I'll give you a small example which a lot of people don't talk about. And so in World War I, there was a place called Haifa, if you've heard
Israel,
of.
yeah.
In Israel, right? And it was occupied by the Ottoman Turks. Now, the British government at the time sent the Jodhpur Lancers and the Mysore Lancers. The Jodhpur Lancers were leading the charge. These were men in their handsome looking, tall, dark and handsome, if you had to define, was the Jodhpur Lancers. They went for a full-on, head-on charge to cannons pounding on them from one side, but they didn't budge. It's not like they saw cannons like arre karke. They went head on. They took over Haifa, won it for the Israelis, and today Israel and people out there are saying that it wasn't the British, it was the Indians who.
Like 4-5 years ago, they started recognizing it. 2018,
and before that, it was completely ignored. There's a beautiful book written
at the 100 years century जो उनका वो था celebration. I think उसमें उन्होंने वो reinvent करा.
Right, exactly. But just think about, if you just picture it in your head, think of, I mean, today we think about guns, and if कोई pistol निकालता है, we're like, अरे, that day they were firing cannons at you and you were going head on. If someone fell, your brother, cousin, kaka, baba, people were falling, but you were at it. And that is the determination.
Khanwa too.
And in Khanwa too. Although Khanwa, I feel...
First time they were seeing cannons at...
First, exactly, they were seeing cannons.
Even then they put their heads...
Even then, I mean, the Jodhpur, the Rathors are famous for that they have, of course, the Rajput communities, but I feel the Rathors hold that hold that position, that they have gone and shown it a number of times. You must read about this. I'll show you, and this is a pitch I'm going to make to anyone who's watching your podcast or whoever is good in writing or script making. There's this battle called the Battle of Gangwana, which is between Rajputs. So, we don't have to offend anyone, or, we can just talk about our own community and the politics between them through this one incident that happens, which includes Bikaner, which includes Jaipur during Jai Singh's time, which includes Jodhpur, Nagaur and Udaipur. And I won't actually, I urge people to go and sort of read about it, because it has the makings of one of the most brilliant sort of movies. And I keep saying this because I feel we don't write enough. And that's why I'd like to thank Virender Singh ji that you were mentioning, because, Rajputs are finally getting out into scholarship. The thing is, we don't write and we discuss and we talk. And because of that, there's not enough literature and scholarship, modern
sword.
Exactly, and other communities are going on and then show you these sort of vague references. But beyond that, I feel film also has a big sort of role to play.
We have been sidelined in
completely. We make even the movie they made on Prithviraj Chauhan, or even Padmavati and all were very, maybe looking. Udaipur didn't even have that safa. They would wear the Mewadi Pag, which is a different style of wearing it. You don't get into those details. You make it filmy, dance. Just do justice to history once. So that's one sort of. Please read about this Battle of Gangwana. It is like 300. The movie, but in Rajasthan.
I'm not aware of Gangwana. I'll check.
It's fabulous. And it involves politics between the Rajputs, and that is one of our. If I really had to choose, if people put me on a gunpoint and said, if you have to choose something bad or you have to criticize, it will be the lack of unity that we, from time to time. Now that may be of different reasons.
But that is always there in any part of the world.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
When it was required, I think there was unity. I feel
for very temporary times, but I feel because of our martial spirit, because of our independent thinking, I feel we didn't have that communal sort of thing. Rajputs, we didn't look at that. We were ruling places, and everyone in that kingdom was our family. We didn't think of Rajputs as the family.
Makes
right?
sense. Yes.
So
the Praja Palan was the most
that.
highest.
So because of
duty.
that, and like I was saying, there's a reason behind it and why we started thinking. But I feel that has reached a point, and then where we were also trying to pull each other down.
Right.
Which I mean, we have to accept when you're talking about
Right,
the greatness and the strengths. I feel we have to be strong enough to also admit where we lack, so that we can build upon that, and that's what I'm trying to like. Today also Udaipur people will come and be like, Jaipur, or Jaipur will say Jodhpur will do. Why? I mean, you can appreciate if you're joking, it's fine. A joke here and there is, but there should be no ill feeling towards each other. Yeah, because I mean we have. And everyone is related to everyone. That's the funny part. We were fighting with each other, but वो किसी के बुआ का बेटा था, वो किसी के काकोसा का वो था, and it was all mixed.
I think maybe I don't know. This is something I made up. But Mahabharat लिखी इसलिए गई थी because they knew कि this is gonna happen. Now everybody is so correlated with each other. The brother is going to fight brother, and the cousins are going to fight cousins.
I mean, that's
relatives are
the nature of power. I mean, the minute power comes into the play, it really sort of brings out these tendencies.
Let's come back to Jaipur, then we'll close it. I think.
Lovely. We can keep talking otherwise. And Jaipur is my favorite topic because that's my sort of area of research. So why you shifted from Amber to Jaipur? What was the reason? So before you say it, so a lot of people, even in my last podcast, were saying, "Oh, it's Ahir. It's not Amber." But there are two sources of the why Amber was named, right? One is Amba Mata, so Amba, there's a B. One is Ambikeshwar Mahadev, which is a B again. And in lots of old scriptures, it's mentioned as Ambikapur or Ambavati. B is there in everything. Now, what happens later on is the Kachwahas get into an alliance with Akbar. I don't say Mughals, I keep saying Akbar. And at the time...
Why? Sorry, I'm digressing. Why you say that?
Because after that, they weren't really that close to the Mughal emperors. They weren't some...
There was a constant struggle, I know.
Constant, still Savai Jai Singh was constantly struggling. In fact, the Mughals took over Amber.
Even Vanishing had lots of tussle with Akbar.
He did. But in a way, the thing is, people don't see it. Akbar was obsessed with the Rajputs,
Because there are incidents where I've heard that he grabbed onto the collar of Mansingh a couple of times in Agra court.
Right. So there could be. I haven't.
Because he allowed Maharana Pratap to go. He didn't took actions on many Indian kings the way Akbar wanted him to do.
Yeah. So a lot of Maulanas and Maulvis were putting things in Akbar's ear, basically. But Akbar basically was obsessed with Rajput and Rajput. He was like James Todd before, just that he was the emperor and he वो दाढ़ी भी नहीं रखता था. वो अपना मूछे type like a Rajput. And so, and in Rajput, it's very, nowadays people don't, and I don't mean to toko you, but I got this told off by this gentleman called Hegreev Singh Ji from Osia in Jodhpur, where if your father is alive, you're not supposed to keep a beard in Rajput. This thing. And that's why you'll see only the oldest member of the family is allowed to have the beard and the cut beard and stuff. But if your father is there or your grandfather is there, you can keep a mustache or nothing, but a beard signifies the Thakur or the Raja or the head of the family.
Long beard or normal beard?
Any beard. He told me, आजकल के लड़के तो देखो and ये वो and all of that. Of course,
I never heard of it actually.
Culture evolves also in a way, so it's not that it's strict.
In our ancestry, whatever I have read through, the beard was like
of the eldest.
Maybe that's the scenario.
And he had some truth to it. But so coming back to Amber, so the Mughals basically and Akbar were trying to Persianize Indian terms. Ayodhya ko Awadh kar diya. So Amber ko they wanted to make Amer because Amer sounds like Amer and Persianized it very subtly in a way which we agreed to. And then when we tried to change it and write B, अंग्रेज आके बोलने लगे एम्बर and they thought it's Amber Fort, which it's not. So उन्होंने वापस भी हटा के आमेर कर दिया, but actually it's आम्बेर.
जयपुर भी तो होता था, जयपुर नहीं जयपुर होता था शायद.
So this Jaipur is in Dhundhari, Jaipur is in Hindi, Jaipur is in English. It depends what language you're speaking. Not one thing is right or wrong. Jaipur का actually नाम है सवाई जयपुर. Now the Savai some गायब ही हो गया because Jaipur was really built on the Savai principle. Savai Jai Singh got this title from the Mughal emperor, not for Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb just told him कि अरे वाह तू तो बड़ा सवाहा है. And he felt very sort of touched with this compliment because Aurangzeb was dealing with Jai Singh the First, who was also an brilliant man. And because he saw Jai Singh the second, he was like, "Arey, you are quarter more Savaha more than Jai Singh the first."
So it was like
He was a 7-year-old boy. I mean, 7-year-old boy, very impressionable, right? And so he took this to heart. And when he was making Jaipur, and then later on he got it confirmed also by Farooq Syar.
no, he said it to control him, or he meant it?
No, meant it.
Why would he say that? Matlab, what reasons for it?
Because Jai Singh's father is in Afghanistan or Kabul at the time, and so Jai Singh is sent to Aurangzeb for some court function or something. Now this little boy comes and he realizes that he's the Amber prince, and Amber and Jaipur have had close relations, of course. Amber and Akbar, and with the shadis and all of that. So of course Aurangzeb also has some Kachwaha blood in him and Rajput blood in him.
Right.
We'll get to that. I know.
Jahangir was Jahangir
Jahangir's mother was a Rajput from
because
Jaipur.
Jahangir,
Harkabai.
Some disagree with that, but
so it's a very interesting. We'll get to that if we get time, or maybe next time if you will have me.
Definitely, if you come to Delhi, I would be happy. If I come here, I will definitely.
Yeah, you've found a home in Jaipur now. Yeah.
Now, yes.
But sorry, we were talking about we were talking about
Savai.
So Jai Singh ji goes to Jai Singh. Kuwar Jai Singh at the time,
called Savai.
And he sees this little boy coming and he goes to do his Nazrana. So Aurangzeb, this is the story at least, holds his hand like that and kaske to scare him. So this guy doesn't get scared at all. So he says to in a very buland awaz, he says, "Kya karu tera?" types. What do I do of you? So this little boy, tiny little guy, says that, "नहीं, आपने तो मेरा हाथ ऐसे पकड़ा जैसे कोई दूल्हे ने दुल्हन का हाथ, तो मैं तो सोचूं कि आप तो मुझे लाड प्यार से ही करोगे." This guy also starts laughing. Yeah, Aurangzeb, अरे वाह, तो बड़ा सवाहा है,
Okay.
He didn't give the title at that time. People say Aurangzeb ने दिया, नहीं. Got it later. There are two stories. Some people say Battle of Khelna में, some people say Farooq Syar ने, but he got it confirmed later on, and he used Jaipur, this Savai title, as a principle of Jaipur. So that means when Jaipur was being built, it was built on the Savai principle. Everything was made a quarter more. 6 बाजार बनाने तो 7 बना देंगे. 100 फुट का रोड है तो 120 फुट का बना देंगे. Everything was made Sava to show this sort of patronage that the Jaipur rulers are a quarter more than their counterparts, which I found very poetically beautiful. I mean, it was really. So basically, so Amber has these two. So this thing. So now, when Jai Singh ji is young, and Aurangzeb dies, right? He makes one mistake of backing the wrong horse. And so in Mughals, what happens is after the ruler dies, they fight amongst themselves. Jai Singh ji chooses the losing side. And Bahadur Shah the first becomes the Mughal emperor. And he's pissed off with him. He seizes Amber. Uska naam badal dete, Mominabad kar diya naam.
Achha.
And Jai Singh ji is going from pillar to post. And by the end of it, the Rathod Maharaja of Jodhpur, because at the time even Jodhpur, Aurangzeb was trying to chino and troubling them like hell. Ajit Singh ji's time, and Durga Das ji's time, and Jaipur, they go to
Durga Das ji जब तक चले गए थे, I think, मतलब
Durga Das
आ गए थे ना.
नहीं, Ajit Singh ji was ruling by the time. It's quite sad to know Ajit Singh ji ने उनको देश निकाल दिया.
वही चले गए थे, मेरा वही मतलब था उन्हें.
Back in the day, you would send a watermelon, a matira, कि मती रहो. यहाँ पे तरबूज नहीं बोलते, मतीरा बोलते.
He was a little insecure because people were asking him more for advice than.
Durga Das ji was a legend. Really, apparently Aurangzeb offered him the throne also. You this thing, and he was the
way he gets into court, that is also very interesting. But
made of a different sort of different league of men. So Jai Singh ji is going from pillar to post. Mominabad हो गया, Jodhpur भी ले लिया. So that was in fact one of the last Rajput.
Jodhpur ले लिया था.
Jodhpur भी ले लिया था. It was under. He was playing politics since Nagaur के राजा को बोल रहा था, which is a younger line saying that आपको बना दूंगा, आप मुसलमान बन जाओ, and trying to. So the ruler of Jaipur, the ruler of Jodhpur meet at Udaipur.
Nagaur, अच्छा
Nagaur is like a younger branch.
अच्छा अमर सिंह के जो वो थे वंशज शायद समझ.
Yeah. But Nagaur wasn't it was the Raja ने वो Rao बोलते थे वहाँ पे.
समझ.
So anyway, they meet at this place and they have the Debari का समझौता, or the Treaty of Debari, where the alliance happens and Udaipur says, I will help you. And then they go win back Jodhpur, win back Amber.
Who was there in Udaipur? Jai Singh? Raj Singh?
It was Amar Singh II at the time. Jai Singh had just died.
Raj Singh.
Raj Singh had died.
Achha.
And after Raj Singh, it's Jai Singh. I'll have to check which Maharana. I'm getting confused now.
No.
If I'm not wrong, it was Amar Singh the second, but I'll check. I'll just check. So because he also turned out to be Jai Singh Ji's father-in-law.
Acha.
So the one part of the treaty was that you will marry my daughter.
He made that alliance.
He made that alliance, and at the time they said, "अरे आपका अब जो बेटा होगा वो ही महाराजा बनेगा." Jai Singh Ji said, of course, and you know that's a different story now altogether. Lovely. So anyway, they win back, but now most storybooks, most stories in history will tell you that पानी खत्म हो गया था और आबादी बढ़ गई थी तो उनको shift करना पड़ा because most Rajput cities and towns and forts are made on hills. चित्तौड़ देख लो, मेहरानगढ़ देख लो, कुंभलगढ़ देख लो, आम्बेर देख लो. Natural defense है आपका, right? Jaipur was the only place which was made on flat ground, which was strange at the time. So there are multiple reasons. I personally feel that the Mughal Empire was declining. Jai Singh Ji wanted to compete with them and say that maybe आपकी standing का हूँ, if not more. You know, I am a local Indian king. The other one I felt is that since he was dealing with Jodhpur and Udaipur, Jaipur तो था ही नहीं उनके पास उस time. So there was this not complex with this feeling in Jai Singh Ji that जोधा जी का जोधपुर है, उदय सिंह जी का उदयपुर है, हमारा क्या है? You know, Jodhpur had Mandor as the old capital, Udaipur had Chittor. What have my ancestors? So that was playing in his, that was playing in his mind also. Another reason I feel is that he realized that यार दुनिया जो है is moving little away from military and agriculture to more industry and commercial sort of craft and art and stuff. And so I keep telling people, they say, oh, अब आमेर को तो छोड़ दिया था, नहीं छोड़ा था जय सिंह जी के टाइम पे. It was like two heads of an engine, right? Amber would be the military capital, Jaipur would be the commercial capital, and religion would be in both places. So Jaipur was made as the showpiece for the people because it's on a flat ground.
And when was Amber fort made?
Amber was made in 1599.
Okay, that was there already.
Yeah, and उसके पहले there's another पुराना महल है, जयगढ़ है.
Yeah.
जयगढ़ छोटा था. Jai Singh Ji renovated the entire thing.
Jayagढ़ was more like military post back then, right?
Was a military. जैसे आम्बेर का महल है, उसके ऊपर जयगढ़ है. जयपुर में सिटी पैलेस है, उसके ऊपर नाहरगढ़ है. Nahargarh guards Jaipur, Jaigarh guards Amber. But Nahargarh is connected to Jaigarh. So कभी war होता था, so the idea was you would retreat back into the hills.
Or you can provide backup too, right?
Provide backup, but the thing is Jaipur was not made. आप परकोटा देखो या गेट देखो, कोई solid blocks के थोड़ी ना बना है because इतना बड़ा खान ही नहीं है आप जाके इतना sandstone लाओ या कुछ लाओ. So इनने rubble basically जो ईट मिट्टी पत्थर यहाँ वहाँ मिला के प्लास्टर लगाया. So some people say that the walls of Jaipur are not that strong. एक दो cannon shot में गिर जाएगा.
अच्छा.
So it was made as this showpiece, I feel, and that's what a lot of scholars have said to show the artistic and cultural sort of endeavors
status,
of
again,
the Maharaja's
what you were
status.
talking about.
You know, to show people, and also to he invited people from all over. If they didn't have houses, he said, "मैं आपको घर बना के दूंगा." Have you heard of the story of Indira Gandhi going to Jaigarh and taking away their treasure? एक Bollywood movie भी बना है इसके ऊपर.
No, I have not heard.
100 trucks were going and they had heard about this fabled treasure and stuff like that. Read about it. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
So Jaipur, if people didn't have money, Jai Singh would pay. He invited bankers and traders and artists and made a hub within Jaipur so well that without having any natural resource of its own, पानी भी नहीं है, कुआं कूदना पड़ा, पानी लाना पड़ा, सब बनाना पड़ा. It became the first modern city of India. Way 300 years or 250 years before Chandigarh came. People say, oh, Chandigarh hai. Arre, either you go to the Indus Valley civilization where they had planning, proper urban planning with straight roads and bazaars on either side. There was a master plan that was followed. Otherwise, Udaipur, Jodhpur and the other cities were made all, you know, आप वो किला बना दिया और उसके नीचे haphazardly like a web, which was a defensive feature also. You needed that. But Jaipur was made as compared to any city in the world, you know, straight line principle. दिल्ली में एक चांदनी चौक है, जयपुर में 8 बाजार है ऐसे, त्रिपोलिया, गंगौरी, जौहरी, किशनपोल, हवा. I mean, it's just so in this process of competing, he dwarfed. He went एकदम बहुत ही आगे.
Passion project.
And created this city which became a passion project. It became, he is the first modern Indian, and that's why I was telling people right now, when you drive around Jaipur, if you visit Statue Circle, please notice that Jai Singh Ji is the only man, only king whose statue is made, who's not on a horse with a talwar or a dhal, or he's shown with a manuscript. Because he was a thinker, he was a renaissance man, he was a scientist in the body of a soldier, astronomy, mathematics, and सारा ज्ञान उनने शहर बनाने में लगाया. So it's really special. It's sad that the city is really highly threatened right now. UNESCO is also on that verge of Jaipur is a World Heritage City, is on the verge of thinking of taking back the tag because we are abusing it. And I mean, I do a lot of work in the city. I do my walks there. I speak to people. It's in a bad state. So I feel hopefully with this podcast or with the kind of work that all of us are doing, we'll sort of in some way be better custodians of our heritage.
We need to be. Like maybe it was the state that our people were in around, not Rajasthan particularly, but all over India, the poverty that we were struggling with, we didn't have time to pay attention to it. But now since we are gaining back that economic power, I think the time has come to pay our attention.
Great
back
point.
To these things.
But I made this point once to a person also, and I got a very interesting answer, and we can end at that in case I know we're going over time.
I am not getting late.
No. So
if you can manage.
It is a problem, and we've reached that stage, right? Independence, and it was a certain churning of the country, but now I think we have no excuses.
Right.
We can't blame colonialism or this and that. But I was saying the same thing that now we have, and people said कि आपको लगता है जब जय सिंह जी वो बना रहे थे, was it easy for him? He had money, Mughal Empire, ये Jodhpur, Udaipur, ये वो, it was constant battles and intrigue in politics. Despite that,
willpower is
it's how
more
you
important.
look at things.
Willpower is more important.
This consciousness that I keep talking about, which I am trying to also make myself
we have
as
been
heritage
that,
conscious.
Political will too. I would not disagree with that.
Political will, but we can't blame as things as small as civic sense and keeping trash clean comes down on us as well as much as the government in political.
I think that culture comes from top. I think so. I don't know if I'm right.
It's a debate. It is, yeah.
Right. Maybe not. Yeah, if we see Sikkim and other. Yeah.
I mean, Indore has done it. Everyone has done it. I mean, why can't we do it? I'm very embarrassed to say, I took a guest for a walk in the old city, and by the end of it, they. Not the end, sorry, in the middle, they said, listen, you are great up, but हम लोग इतना कचरा है, हम नहीं घूम सकते. In a World Heritage City. That is the embarrassing part, and that's why I want to talk about it. It's you can't talk only about good things and all of that. You have to talk about the issues that are there as well.
Right, we have to, and we cannot improve without talking about that.
Exactly, we have to address it.
First step to solving a problem is identifying the problem.
Right. And that's what helped. You asked me how the event was, the cleanup. I don't know whether cleanup ज़्यादा हुआ या नहीं हुआ, but it was one step towards just raising awareness.
You can keep organizing such events over time and again and again. So
and it's just consciousness. The more you show people, the more they should feel bad about keeping places like that. So
once they see that somebody is making those efforts, they start to come in.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be a gimmick. Nowadays it's also become you do it for the gram, as they say.
Everything is.
Yeah, so it has to go down, and that's why I keep telling people it's not me or Jaipur Houses that's doing it. It's a community. So we made a group called Heritage SOS, where everyone is an owner, everyone is a custodian, everyone is equally responsible, so that it's a community-driven project. We're not going to say, one person does it, attention is on no one, but we are going to try and sort of take one site at a time and try and do as much as we can.
Agreed, makes sense. Okay, last thing that I want to discuss is...
I used to love talking about all of this also, so don't worry about me.
So I wanted to talk about Dhundhari language getting vanished. So I heard you talking about it in a video. I think the Radio Mechi video or somewhere else. I'm not sure.
So initially, absolutely.
And that is also fascinating to me because I think it was a language or a culture established by Bhadgurjars.
Yeah, absolutely. The area, the region. I mean, so it's language is not a community-based thing at all. It's a geography thing.
I agree.
So language in Dhundhar also they were speaking this, which is actually connects to Gujarati.
That's why I said that.
But it belongs to the Rajasthan group of languages, the family.
Because they migrated from Gujarat. That's why I said maybe they brought it. But some people claim it.
Old Rajasthani included a lot of. I call my grandmother Ba.
हाँ.
So Ba also people will think, "Arey, aap to I have zero Gujarati blood in me." But because these are all old Rajasthani terms and old Gujarati terms that
And they were
lot of
interconnected.
totally interconnected. You know, there was.
Right.
I mean, you still have remnants of that. So Jaipur still says "chhe chu," "kode ja rahe ho chhe."
अच्छा.
You know, "andine ja rahi ho chu."
हाँ.
Hadoti, if you go, which is Kota and Bundi, is completely chhe chu. But if you go towards Marwar and all, it's different. Mewadi is different. They all come under the Rajasthan language, and it's so strange.
It is very fascinating, the things that has happened in Rajasthani language, the decisions that people have taken. Sha wala ek example hai ki the people decided we will not say sha.
So these are little anecdotes that are also there. But you know, the funny part is Rajasthan has the most amount of dialects, Dhundhari, Magdi, and all of that, but it's not recognized as a language by the Indian
Even
government.
Rajasthan, right,
is not
right,
here.
right.
So Dhundhari to dur ki baat hai, Rajasthani ko
I think
karo,
people
so
are now trying to make it into some kind of movement so that they can get it recognized.
hopefully, I mean, I am really sort of trying to learn myself because I mean, I speak with my grandmother, but I believe you can only speak a language if you can fight with someone. Not that you should fight, but you should be able to have an argument with someone in a language. Means you really have command. Because जब आपको गुस्सा आता है, आप वही निकालते हो जो आपका, which you're strong. So I can't have an argument with someone in Dhundhari or Rajasthani. I can speak to people, and I do speak. But I've joined a very, very good, interesting WhatsApp group through that podcast only, where there are language or linguist enthusiasts, and we're talking about different words that आपके जोधपुर side में क्या बोलते हैं और इस side में क्या बोलते हैं and that side में क्या बोलते हैं. So
do add me if possible.
I will try and add you. You know, I'm also a new member, so I don't want to.
Well, that is also something that I am fascinated with. I like to. I keep on reading whatever I can get my hand upon.
But the Dhundhari that they speak closer to Dausa and where the Bhadgurjars were holding, you know, this area could be slightly different to the Jaipur Dhundhari.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
वहाँ पे and थोड़ा भरतपुर जाओ तो वहाँ ब्रज भाषा mixes with Dhundhari. इतकू जा रही हो छू.
डायलेक्ट तो इंडिया में वैसे भी 10-10, 15-15, 20 किलोमीटर पे चेंज होते हैं.
What do they say? पानी और रानी.
अच्छा, ये क्या है? No, I am not.
पानी also changes. आपको राजस्थान में 10 किलोमीटर बाद आपको खारा पानी मिलेगा. 20 मिनट एक बड़ा सा लेक दिखेगा.
नहीं, what is रानी?
Vani. Vani is words.
Pani
and Vani. And I'll add one more thing is Pag. I can't rhyme it right now.
It is true for even Uttar Pradesh.
All.
And Bihar and actually, yeah.
Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. I love Rajasthan, but I feel once they wake up, they're like sleeping giants. Once they wake up in terms of the heritage that they have, Rajasthan will have stiff competition. So, I mean, and I hope they do because it'll just open up so many more avenues for people.
You have heard about Kalinjar?
I have heard about Kalinjar. I haven't explored too much.
I was there like last year. That too is like, it needs lots of reconstruction and preservation.
Easily done. You know, there are experts. We have the people. We have the money. It's just
that fort has amazing history too. Like
it's Kalinjar is Maharashtra, no? If I'm not wrong, or MP.
MP के border पे, but UP में आता है.
अच्छा, towards the Jhansi side. I'm sorry, then I'm totally confused.
थोड़ा सा आगे है. झांसी से दूर.
अच्छा, okay.
It was like it was under Chandels.
Right.
चंदेलों का जो last strong hold था वो कलिंजर ही था.
Right.
But then because British took it from whoever was ruling it, I think some मुगल या कोई और जो भी थे, ब्रिटिश ने उनसे छीन लिया था, तो वो यूनाइटेड प्रोविंस के अंदर आ गया था उस टाइम. दो इट इज फ्रॉम एमपी ओनली, वहाँ पे जो डायलेक्ट और वो एमपी के ही है, बट बिकॉज ब्रिटिश टुक इट बैक इन 1850 और
वो यूपी के अंदर आ गया,
वो यूनाइटेड प्रोविंस के अंदर आ गया.
That's why they have that little झांसी कलिंजर. अच्छा, okay, now
आज भी वो वैसे ही है, इसलिए.
No, the forts in these places, even up Himachal, you go and see the Katoch's fort, which is Kangra. Oh man, and it's completely different style.
Photos,
even I haven't seen it. I've seen pictures. I have a friend who's from there, and he keeps sort of inviting me. So there is no dearth of, I mean, and by the end of it, I say even within Rajasthan, you go to a Jodhpur, you experience something different, and we'll come back to. I just like to end with that because there was a little controversy about my last podcast where I explained to people that, and I feel like it could have been a more nuanced because it is a touchy topic. But the blue city is what I said. I don't really consider Jodhpur to be the blue city because calling it the blue city is following the trajectory of the pink city. That means if Jaipur is the pink city, you're saying we are the blue city. When you're not, you're so much better and different in your own way. Jodhpur was the sun city. You know, the same thing is happening with Udaipur where they're trying to make it into a white city where it's actually the city of lakes. So I feel if you play to your strengths, like Jodhpur is the city of the sun built under the city of the fort. And I keep telling people that Jaipur mein bahut kam Rajasthan feel aata hai. I don't know what you guys as visitors would think, but if you really want to experience the culture of what you think Rajasthan or the desert is Jodhpur and Western. You know, so there's lots of misconceptions that happen also through podcasts and reels and stuff like that. So I feel I just had to sort of clarify myself in certain ways. Thank you. I can keep talking, so I hope you'll call me again.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.